today we'll discuss about the DAX function in Power BI, and we'll focus on the date and time function of Power BI. So one thing before we start, so let's say we have any date column in our data table. So right now, like this one. Okay. So if you want to perform any functions on this field, there's some wide set of default function attached to this column. Let me show you. So when we create a new column, and let's say we need to extract any year or a day or a month from this date. So what Power BI does is, you can just name any column and just call this column date. Sheet 1 date. So whenever you select this column, you will get the option. If you want to select the complete date, you can just type just select this date. If you want to pull day out of this date, you can just select day. Similarly, month number, quarter number, and year. So this is a default function which comes with the date and any date column. That if you want to pull something out of that date, you can directly pull it without using any external function. So let's say if we just select quarter, and I just click enter. So you will get quarter 4, quarter 2, the quarter for each day. So if you want to change anything from quarter to year or something, so if you select month, it will give you the month name. So these are the default functions that are with any date column in Power BI. So month number, it will give you numeric value. Similarly, quarter number, it will give you numeric value. So this was default function with date, and let's come to the external function which we can use. So first is the calendar. So what in calendar, what it's a, if you want, let's say if you want to create a new table, okay, that have all the dates which you want. So what you'll do, you can just create a table using this DAX formula. Just give a name calendar and give a start and end date. So what this function will do, it will create a table for you that will have each and every day from the start date to till the end date, like this. So if you give 2005 to 2015, so it will have every date between 1st Jan 2005 till 31st December 2015. The next function we have is a calendar auto. In calendar auto, what it does is it will automatically get the date for you based on the model you have. So let's for example, in my model, currently I have just 2 files. So what it will do is it will just see what my model. It will see the lowest date and the largest date in my model, and it will automatically create a this calendar view for me. So let's say the lowest date for me in my model was 2001, and the largest date was 2015. So it will automatically create a date from 2001 to 2015. And if you give the fiscal year, if you don't pass any value in this bracket, so it will take it directly from the system. If you pass it, so it will give the interval of this. So let's say, for example, if you pass calendar auto 3.
So Swap, if you don't give anything, will it give current date, or which date will it give?
If you don't give anything, what it will do, it will create a new table for you that will have a date of your system. So let's say in your system data model, you have lowest date of 1st July 2010, and the largest date is 30th June 2011. So it will start from January 2010 till December 2011. For each and every day, it will show you a date.
So when you start and end, what does it? Where does it start? Where does it end? Where is it putting the data? I'm just a bit unclear. Maybe I'm not sure if it is clear for everyone else. Just
okay, let me show you how it does. So we'll just create a new table for us. New table. Let's say if I use calendar auto and I don't give any thing in it, so you can see it has created a date table for me. It's starting from 2013 and it's going till 2014. So these two calendar function help. So
Like that. Why did it go from 2013 to 2014? Because it doesn't have much relevance today, right? So we are in 2020.
so yeah, for that, what Calendar Auto does it. Before that, I have these two sheets: financial sheet and sheet one. It will go to both of these sheets. It will find the minimum date and the maximum date in both of them. Based on that, it will just create a sheet for me. Create a table for me.
It creates a new sheet, is it?
It creates a new table for me based on the data which I have present in my existing sheets.
So how would we use this? For example, let's say, I'm just give us an example when this will be useful.
Okay, in my project, I have used this just for the creating that matrix. So let's say you have two kind of visualization, but you want to present them combinedly. Let's say you have a data of forecast, you have data of historical data. Now you have to merge them with a common date. So in that cases, you can just select this date column, this function. What it will do, it will just create a date from the start till the end of the file, and you can just put your value in this.
Okay, got it. So it's the equivalent of look up other tables in the file or in the data in this particular Power BI file. So I would like to get, so this is all incremented, right? So 1/1/2013, 2/1/2000. So I would assume this is Indian format, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically giving, if you want a date-wise summary, then this will be useful for us to create the leftmost column. That's what it is. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, maybe sometimes kind of that, and in your data some days are missing, but you want a complete table in your data set. So instead of creating a blank row, you can just create this table. It will give you dates from start till end for each day.
Understood. Okay.
So the difference between Calendar and Calendar Auto is, in Calendar, you give the start and end date manually, but in Calendar Auto, it detects from the existing models which you have in Power BI. Okay. Then the next function is date. So this is used to create a date format. So you just pass your year, month, and day, and it will convert it into a date format. It's a normal function, like other form programs also have this. So then we have date difference. So in this function, it will find a difference in the date, and based on the intervals you choose. So we have multiple options. Like if you want to choose second, minute, hour, days, week, month, quarter, or year. So based on the difference you want to choose, it will give you the difference. And the format is the start date should be first and the end date should be second. So it will do end date minus start date, and based on the interval, it will calculate the value. Then we have a date value function. So this function is used to convert text into date, but we need to make sure that it's in a date format. So let's say this is an example. So this is our text, and I want to convert it to a date. So I just use a date value function, and it will convert this text into date. So many of in my project, I need to compare my date to a certain value, a certain date. So for that, I can use this function because I know the date. I can just put it in a text format and use date value to convert it to a date. Next, we have a day function. So basically, this function, what it does, when you pass a day, it will just find a day of it and give you the value, give you that value. So yeah, let's say if you have passed the date of March 4, 2007, so it will give you the return the value as 4. So it finds the value in the date. Then we have eDate. So eDate calculates the day of that month. Sorry, eDate indicates the number of months before and after the start date. So eDate calculates the maturity date or due date that falls on the same day of the month or date of it. So basically, whenever you give the start date and you give, let's say, 3 as a month, so what it will do is it will exactly add 3 days to that date and it give you the value. To be clear, so let's say you have your transaction date is let's say 31st Jan, and you have added only 1 month to it. So what it will give? It will give you 28th February as the e-date. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Then we have end of month. So it this function give us the end of month. So let's say we have a month March, and we want to add 1.5 years to it, and then find the end of month for it. So what this function does is, what it will do, there's actually in month basis there's no decimal. So what will do, it will first convert it to 2 months, and then it will give so March, April, and May, and it will give the end of that month, so 31st May. So it is useful for let's say any renewal cycle or any expiration date kind of thing, where you want to know in which month it is going to expire. We can use this function.
So it is 1.5, right? Oh,
Yeah.
This is okay. So it go into 1.5 months and then does the end of month, is it? Okay.
No, what it will do, it will always round off to the upper decimal. So if you give 1.5, it will round off to 2, and then it will calculate.
Okay, correct. Or otherwise, it's the same thing. Okay, so it does 2 months, is it now?
Yeah, it will do 2 months, but instead of 3rd of May, it will give you 31st of May.
Correct. Okay, got it. So 1.5 months actually pushes it to, month's argument is rounded to 2. Okay, got it. Understood. That's interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it helps us for any calculation of any end deadlines and all. The month end is a deadline for you every month. So this function would help you to calculate that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a hours function. It's a normal function that calculates the hours from the given transaction date. So when you have a date and time format, it will calculate. It will find that hour. Similarly, we have minutes. So it will find the minutes from the date. Then we have month. So it will find the month from the given date. But the one thing which I already showed you, whenever you are using any date column in whenever you are using a date column in calculated column, so it will give you all these features: month, date, time, whenever you want. So if you select this month, it will give you month directly, or you can use this function, month function, to get that month. The difference is whenever you are using a calculated column. So here I'm just creating a calculated column, so I can use this function. But when I'm using a calculated measure, then I can't use this by default. This by default function won't pop up for me. Then I have to use this month function. Then we have a now function. As its name suggests, it will just take the date and time format from our system. Whatever our system time is, it will just take it from the system. And this value will keep on changing every time you open your sheet. So even though you don't refresh your data, but you just close your file and you open your file again, it will get refreshed automatically. Then we have a quarter.
So just swap a quick question here. So when let's say I'm not so sure how the auto refresh thing works, right? So there should be an auto refresh feature somewhere in Power BI, is that correct?
Yeah, you can schedule your refresh.
And I would assume that when the refresh is done, then it would auto refresh to the current date and time, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. In the refresh, it will automatically, but we have another time, that UTC now. So this UTC now works only on refresh or auto refresh. But let's say you close your file and you open it after 5 or 10 minutes. So this now function will take the gap of that as well. So after 5 minutes you have opened, it will show you the correct time.
Right. I think there is no recalculate function. Is there a recalculate function like in Excel, for example? So you hit F9, then it calculates, everything will be calculated to what is now.
Yeah.
So do we have that kind of a thing, or is it when you reopen, does it calculate? I'm just trying to understand how it.
We have this refresh button. Whenever you click it, it will just refresh all the complete file. But the thing is, sometimes, like my existing project, we have a lot of number of files attached to it. So clicking a refresh will take time. So in that cases, we can use this now function. So whenever you open this file, it will take the now current date. If you don't want to refresh this, then in those cases, you can use this now function.
Refresh also refreshes the database, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Refresh will refresh the database, but it will refresh all the files. So you have to wait till all the files are getting refreshed.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. So so typically, see, if you want to recheck now, right? So for example, if there will be situations where it is time based, for example, right? So I mean, this is more an Excel question rather than a Power BI question, I think, because in such situations, in Excel, this is all you're doing, right? You're doing simulations, you're doing models, right? So there's sometimes the time, is very sensitive. Even just a few seconds also, sort of it factors into whatever is the calculation that we are trying to do. Then when you hit F9, then it sort of refreshes and gives you the current date and time. So I'm just trying to see, I think it is a good thing that they have incorporated that in Power BI, but I'm just trying to figure out the utility part of it.
So basically what I am doing, I am currently using the now function instead of UTC now, just to compare with current date and time, because when that file will be shared with everyone, most of them won't have the access to refresh, or some of them won't have the access to refresh, but at least for them, when they open this file, they should be able to compare with the current time.
Okay. So I just noticed something here. I think this might be sort of something we want to keep in mind. Look at this. When the column that contains the formula is refreshed, looks like we can also refresh the column alone.
For refreshing a column, all you need to do is you have to go to that column and click enter.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
Then we have this quarter function, so it will just pull the quarter from the date, and the quarter is something like normal quarters. For Jan to March is the first quarter, then respectively we have that fourth quarter. Then we have seconds. It will just pull the seconds from your date and time stamp. Okay, then we have time function. So when you have a date and time format and you just want to pull the time out of it, you can use this function, or you can create a time by giving the values. So if you give a value size like this, so it will just convert it to 3 AM. Then we have time value. So time value is similar to date value. It will convert your text into time. So
just go back once as well. Please just immediate previous one.
Time. Okay.
Time, yeah. And there was some example there.
Yeah.
There is that 300. Hold on. Oh, that is 27, is it? 27. So it will automatically become 3 then. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Okay. Great. Yeah. Please proceed.
Then we have a today function. So it will give you only current date. The catch in this function is it will give you the same time irrespective of what time you have opened or refreshed this file. So it will give you, let's say if we are talking about today, so it will give you 13 Jan 2021 12 AM. So the time won't change for in today function. Then we have a UTC now. So this function works only when you have refreshed this formula. It is not so basically it depends, like now function get auto refresh whenever the file is getting opened or the column is getting opened, but for this function you need to refresh this file. Click on refresh, then only it will just refresh your value of current date and time. Then we have a UTC of day. So it's like today function only. It will return you the date, basically day with the this time value for all the date. Then we have a weekday function. So basically, whenever you pass a date, you can just select a return type, and based on the return type, it will give you which day it is. If you select day as return type as 1, so it will mark Sunday as 1 and Saturday as 7, and based on it, it will give you the day it is. If you pass the value as 2, it will mark Monday as 1 and Sunday as 7, and for 3, it will mark Monday as 0 and Sunday as 6. So based on select your return type, it will give you the return the value between 1 to 7 based on what date is the date. Then we have a week number. So it will give you the basically the week number of that where that date falls in the week. Sorry, in the year. And here also you can give the type. If you give type 1, so your week start from Sunday. If you give type 2, your week start from Monday. And based on it, it will for any date it will find what is the week number in respect of that year. Then we have the year function. So this year function will just fetch the year out of your date. And the last is this year fraction. So even I'm not completely sure of it, but what it does it calculates. So it represents the number of whole days in the 2 dates. So when you give a start date and an end date, what it does and give you basis. So basic is what you want. You want in the US NSD function, that is 30 divided by 360, or actual by actual, actual by 360, actual by 365, or European method. These are 5 bases which you can choose from. So this is the example which you can see. The following. So we want a year fraction from Jan 2007 to March 2007, and let's run this. We have created a measure of it. Yeah, even I'm not clear what exactly the function does, but it calculates the difference and divided by total number of years, so total number of days in that year. This is what I got, but I'm not sure what exactly it is.